Well, hello. Welcome everyone to another episode of Cloud Foundry Weekly. I think this is number 77, if I can read the number right. Today we have a special guest, DMZ and V, back on the show to talk security. Keith is our co-host for today, and I guess we'll kind of get started there. But this is our next journey of trying to cover all the goodness in Tanzu Platform 10.3. And this show will be focused on the security features within 10.3. But I guess before that, let's get everyone warmed up here. Did anybody have any fun things this weekend? Any bantering that we want to talk about to kick the show off?
Both me and David hosted separate B-Sides events this Saturday.
Oh wow!
I have
B-Sides
swag.
that's a security conference.
Nice.
So yeah, that's fun.
This is like global hosting around the world, right?
I mean, I'm not sure if they are all on the same date by
No.
design or if it was just coincidence.
It's just coincidence. I've been doing B-Sides since the second one, and they are all over the globe. There's actually a Google Calendar you can get on, and every weekend somewhere in the world there's at least one, if not 5 or 10 going on.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's everything from people hanging out in they've rented a dinner room in the back of a bar, and they've got 20 people together to talk about security for the day. All the way up to like Las Vegas, we have like 3,000 people, and they rent out a hotel, and they just kind of go at it for a whole weekend. And then there's in the middle, the midst of those, the one I do in Charleston, we've been doing for about 15 years now. It's a full 501c3. We do the whole nonprofit status, and we bring in about 15,000 a year, and we rent out a building, have a big old party afterwards, and we get about 150 to 200 people at ours.
Nice.
Wow. Is that completely vendor agnostic? It's just community?
Yes, it is just community, although we have vendor sponsors. So depending on who the vendors are, that's where the money comes in. That's where we did a nonprofit in the States, so we can actually encourage companies to donate to it. And I'm definitely seeing changes in the industry where it's shifting from security vendors to companies like us, who we don't sponsor it. It'd be great to get Broadcom as a sponsor one day, but it's you're seeing more companies are realizing security isn't. You don't need a security company to do security.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about yours, V.
Yeah, it's a similar story. I'm not sure about the legal status, if it's a nonprofit or not. I'm not involved with that. I'm just the MC, so I just go on stage and tell really bad computer-related jokes, and then everybody wakes up. And then we get the actual speaker to come in and talk about serious stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny because like I work American hours generally, and then these events here, they're European time. So like I have to get up a lot earlier than usual to go to the event. I'm super sleep deprived, so it's like the jokes they just pour out, no filter. And thankfully I don't remember anything afterwards either. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, we get I think the similar size to what David said, like 100 something people. Also, we have a bunch of sponsors, but it's a community event by nature. So yeah, lots of fun. It's always a very positive energy, which is I guess not something you can say for every security event, but all the B-Sides I've attended were always very welcoming, let's say, to everybody.
I think it almost. I was just saying, it's almost like when V, you're talking about a CF day. The energy you felt from people there, the community, the feeling of like we're doing something that's really cool and we want to share with people. It's very similar feel. I feel.
Yeah, it's similar. But I think like even CF day, because there are a few very big vendors, there is a bit of a transactional thing going on and here and there. Like it's not 100% community. But besides, I feel like it's nobody cares if you're selling something or not or whatever. Everybody's just there to have fun. So, but yeah, it's kind of a similar vibe. I feel like the Go conferences usually have that energy as well. So yeah, it's really nice.
What I was going to ask is it simply just Google B-Sides and you'll find the community, or is there a special backdoor?
No. It tends to be like we do ours. We partner with the College of Charleston, and there's a history. That's where I went to school, and I wanted to do something, give it back to the school. So we partner with them for a long time. We did it mainly because the location is your most expensive thing, and as you mentioned, it's very community based. You want to have that feeling without too many vendors, but you do need to pay for locations. You need to pay for we get T-shirts or fun badges or We do a party also. We bring in lunch because we found if you didn't bring in lunch, people would leave and then they wouldn't come back. They go, oh, this is Charleston. Let's go explore and have fun. So we need to encourage people to come back. So we get sponsors. Someone sponsor a lunch if people don't leave. But no, it's generally open to the public. Most of them are totally free. Some like ours, we charge like a $20 fee just because we found if we had 500 people register, it's like, oh, it's free. But then we get order 500 t-shirts and 100 show up, then you're like at a loss. So a lot of B-sides have put in a minimal fee just to at least cover the costs if they don't show up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I posted a link there for the B-sides Berlin, I guess, sign up there from V. But I do give a shout out to V on the computer jokes because in the Cloud Foundry Day in Frankfurt, we're having a little technical difficulties, and V kept the audience engaged with some jokes. So it's I think you should start a side channel, side gig, just doing jokes. V. I think it would be very successful.
I had multiple people in this event pull me to the side and say like, hey, so like, are you a professional like for like the speaking thing? And I'm like, no, I just work with computers. And they were like, oh, really? Oh, you should do stand-up.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever I'm actually on stage, I tell a joke, there's like 5 minutes delay, but well, there's like a 5 seconds delay between the joke being over and people being like, oh it's fine. And like, like it's like
only the best of jokes. Yeah.
Yes.
It's only the jokes that made people regret they
I might have to make it to Berlin then. It sounds like that's a lot more fun than my jokes. I'm terrible at jokes. I have no cadence, no timing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you can learn to exploit for comedic effect. Like people don't have to laugh at your joke. Sometimes it's fun if they just laugh at you.
Yeah, that would work out for me. I have no problem laughing at myself.
All right. I guess enough jokes aside. I guess we can. Keith, do you have anything to cover? Should we just jump into it? You think?
No, jump into it. Like I'm using this now in my own environment, and because I wanted to literally play with it, see how I can get value out of it. How can I break it? And this is pretty cool. Like there's a lot here, and in one place, not having to jump around and the whole joke. Here, single pane of glass or single glass of pain. It's all there. It's yeah. I like this. I'm going to see what we're going to see. Like I like how we get components, subcomponents, remediation, upgrade planner. It's all there. So.
Hold up. Maybe let's tell the audience what we're talking about.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. So Tanzu Platform 10.3. We had a lot of new security features and updates that we want to cover. So I guess V or DMZ, do you wanna highlight or talk about what we're going to talk about? Feature today on the show.
Well, we kind of alluded to in the past. We kind of shared the idea when V and I joined before about how we got kind of as we got part of Broadcom, we had this whole like we have to document things better. VMware had great security, but we didn't have that big stick saying you must. You shall not pass. That whole Gandalf scene. But it's one of those things that allowed us to say, hey, we've got a great set of data that we've put together around our products. Since we had to go through every release we have and document what our vulnerabilities are, what our open vulnerabilities are, what our status is, and we're doing the triage we've always done, but we're just documenting it a lot better so we can then show Broadcom. V and I were like, hey, this would be great for customers. We get these like, I'm sure our watchers will have this. You have a security team that runs their quality scan. They go, oh, cool. You've got your 12 foundations and your 500 VMs, and here's your 6,000 line spreadsheet of your vulnerabilities we found. Go tell us what's going on with it. The downside to scanners is they don't know commercial. Every single tool that does scanning, and no offense to them. I love, in fact, our keynote speaker back to B-Sides was actually a threat researcher from CrowdStrike. There's some great security companies, but they can only identify what is publicly known. So most of the security tools out there are going to say, oh, this is Debian based or Ubuntu based or whatever it is, and then show you here's all the vulnerabilities. But when you talk about supply chain, it doesn't know, oh, so SSH has an exploit. Okay, was it fixed? Was it brought into the upstream of Canonical or Red Hat or whoever it is? And did your vendor say, Tanzu us, bring that vulnerability in, did we patch it? And then are you actually using it? There's that whole story of where is that fix in the life of the patch sequence was difficult to put together. So V and I have been spending the last year, we kind of alluded to it, and I think on our last visit to Cloud Foundry Weekly, saying, hey, we think this should be something that'd be easy. And some of the best quotes we've gotten from customers so far is, this is like, it's a whole new product. It's like, if we have, dozens, if not hundreds of foundations and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of containers you're running, you don't need to go and have a scan and then do a bunch of lookup tables and maps and have these multi-million line spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are the bane of security people. We always make them. So as a lead into this, V and a great designer came up with how to actually make it look and said, hey, let's take your inventory. We know what you're running. We have this great interface in the hub where you can actually view what you're running across multi-foundations. Let's just share our data. Let's make it available to you every day. You can update it because we're triaging every day. Vulnerabilities come up every day, and allow you to actually say, here's my inventory of my foundations, my VMs, the containers are running on top of them, the building components, build packs and stuff that you build from. And let's just show you where the vulnerabilities are. And there are actually ways to actually tie that into other research stuff. But that's just the high level of it, is a dashboard that shows your inventory with your vendor, us, Tanzu, sharing our vulnerability research on the versions you're on, the versions that are available, and the differences on the vulnerabilities between those. Did I describe it well, V?
Yeah, I just wanted I think you described from a practical perspective very well what we're trying to do. I kind of wanted to just interject a more like a galaxy brain, philosophical, why, how, etc. So last month in early October, I presented a talk at CF Day Frankfurt, and lots of words, but the TLDR was basically a lot of systems are praised for their flexibility. For example, Kubernetes, you can do whatever you want, however you want. Anybody can have, infinite possibilities to try things out and, see what works, see what doesn't, etc., which is great for, many different purposes. But CF is a system that does not prioritize flexibility. It prioritizes homogeneity. And of course, that creates some constraints. It's not always great. It's not that flexible. You can argue about a bunch of stuff, etc. But one of the things that this enforced homogeneity creates is you have a system that even at the extremely large scale, you know all the types of components that you have in your system. For example, if you're using CF, you're always going to have a limited number of stem cells. You're always going to have a limited number of build packs. There are so many parts of the system that you will always be able to keep track of it because the architecture of the platform enforces this uniformity. And because of that, we can cover like a huge amount of your CV footprint straight off the bat, like off the gate, without having to scan anything in a customer environment, without having to do any crazy heuristics or whatever. It's very simple. CF knows which stem cells you're running. We as a vendor provide you those stem cells. We have to do our homework internally because of our own corporate requirements. So we do scan and triage and patch, etc. For example, that stem cell. So we can tell you, hey, you have 1 million workloads deployed. We can tell you on the stem cell layer, this is exactly the vulnerabilities that are there. If it's affected or not affected or false positive, etc. How do you patch it? When do you patch it? Does that patch create any compatibility issues? We can give you the whole story. So basically, that is what we were trying to provide. We were taking that little gap of advantage that this homogeneity provided us, and we just went in there and tried to exploit that advantage to the fullest extent, which created this security tool. So we tried to cover vulnerability identification, remediation, patching, triage, the whole thing for all those components that, because of the CF architecture, they are necessarily always uniform.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, yeah, because I did jump the gun, but exactly to that point, the single pane of glass, it was everything. Because like, as David said, I've been in that role before where cross spreadsheet lookups is just, it's nightmarish. And you have a method that doesn't work for someone else. This is, sometimes you could say it's easy. Anyone can jump in and they see it straight away. They don't have to learn anything here. it's there in front of them. Yeah, I love
But
it.
if they want to learn though, there's a whole API interface, and they can consume the data they want. And I think V, you say it a lot, where the API, I can't even word it how you word it. You say many times,
It's
but
yeah, the way I describe it is the GUI is great, but it's really just a demo for the API. The API
Yeah.
is where you're going to do the really
Nice.
interesting stuff.
And for the people who love the spreadsheets, you can still download the data. So you're ticking
Yes.
everyone's box. Yeah.
Well, we knew that people use spreadsheets, so you have to have a CSV export. But we also know the industry is moving toward SBOMs, and there's an interesting conversation around SBOMs in that, well, everyone says, well, you need to have them. Well, what do you use them for? How do you use them? And there are different types. There's the SPDX, which is just the inventory. There's a Cyclone DX, which has the vulnerabilities, and just having the ability to have that data available. There are a few teams that are using it. And V, I'm not sure if it came up in your B-sides, but there definitely were some interesting SBOM conversations I had. And I don't know if people really are truly using SBOMs, but the real big players are. The people that have massive inventories, the people that need to have it, but they have their own tooling they've done. They've got their own stuff behind it.
I feel like SBOMs, nobody really cares about it, but if you say SBOMs with AI, now we're talking.
Oh, yes. Sprinkle a little AI and everything, right?
Exactly.
Actually, that will come back in the spring. We'll see how we can sprinkle AI and the vulnerability stuff. But we probably can even give a demo of it here if we got something somewhere. If we want to, we can walk through it some. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Which of our various differently bugged test environments do we want to share?
I mean, I would defer to you, V, or
Okay.
whatever you think is the best. I have an environment, but I don't know if it's the best. But I'm gladly share my screen if needed. But
David, what do you think? You can make the call.
Do you have a screen ready, V? If you already have one ready, let's just jump onto that one.
Yeah, I have the test environment we were just talking about before the call. Do you want to use that one?
Yeah, let's jump on there. Yeah.
Okay, hold up. How do I share my screen? Computers are too complicated.
Yeah, don't click the red button.
Yeah. And while we wait to figure out how V shares the screen, we can do don't forget to like and subscribe plug right now. We'll do a little early plug for that. So if you like what you see here, you should subscribe.
You got to plug it early and often, right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, I think we see a screen. I'm going to add it to stage. Oh, I see stuff. Looks good.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Tanzu Hub. Nick, do we need a 10 seconds introduction of Tanzu Hub, or are we good for this?
I think the audience has seen Hub multiple times, so this is a.
Although I did hear one customer say this last week that 10.3 is like a completely new application over at 10.2. So anyone who has looked at Hub in the past, if you've not played with 10.3, definitely download it. Definitely play with it. It's a lot of features.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this customer David is referring to. He said he looked at 10.3 and he was expecting a patch, and turns out it's an entire new product basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He also did say Tanzu's a new mainframe, so that was a good equation.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So V, you want to describe what we're seeing here?
Yeah, so vulnerability insights, like we said before, it basically takes all of our, and by our I mean all of Tanzu's internal knowledge of the vulnerabilities in every component that we have, and we share that knowledge with our customers. So summary cards are, they're just summaries, so I'm going to skip this. But basically here, you're going to have, and let me make this a bit bigger. You're going to have a list of every component in every CF foundation that is attached to Hub. This is going to be, you're going to have one entry for each foundation. So if you have 10 versions of the same component, but each running on a different foundation, you're going to have 10 entries here. And this is because remediation usually happens foundation by foundation. You generally don't want to do an upgrade 10 foundations simultaneously, because if something breaks, you're kind of, you have a big problem. So usually, because upgrades happen one foundation at a time, here you're going to see component foundation separately for each foundation. You're also going to have a separate entry for each version of a component, and maybe I can zoom in here to make it easier on the stream. So you're going to have every version listed here as well. For every component, you're always going to have the current version and the latest version, if there is a latest version. So if you're already on latest, then it kind of doesn't matter. But if you're a few versions behind, then you can see which version is the latest. You're going to have the number of critical and high CVEs in the current version you're using. So in this case, there's 26, severe vulnerabilities, let's say, in this component. 2 are critical and 24 are high. And lastly, this final column here, and on this test environment, this is a bit bugged, so we're not really seeing partial numbers here, but basically you're going to have, there's 26 vulnerabilities here, and I'm a few versions behind. When I patch to the latest version, what percentage of those CVEs are going to be fixed, and how many? I think maybe, yeah, so for example here, there's 16 CVEs on version .58. If you upgrade to .63, you're going to patch 81% of those 16 CVEs. So this view is meant to be, it's not meant to be a detailed view. It's not meant to be comprehensive. This is just, here's the big picture of your system. And of course, you can filter by foundation group, severity, if you'd like. And more interestingly, you can filter by component type. So for example, if I'm a platform engineer, I probably don't much care about build packs, so I can just filter them out and just look at the foundation upgrades that are available. But maybe I already done my homework. Now I need to find out, okay, what do my application developers need to do? Then I can come here and look at just the build packs. And maybe let's just wait for this to load. Maybe I made some new build pack versions available in the platform to patch some of those CVs. But of course, we know that as a platform engineer, I can't just force those build packs into the applications. The developers need to restage and rebuild. So in order to achieve that, I can, for example, here's a build pack, and I can open the description here. So this is an entirely, it's a different view from what we had before. Here I'm going to have, sorry, let me just rewind for a second. This view here is kind of an overview, like I said before. When you click any specific component, you get the component view. And this is going to tell you exactly which CVs are affecting that component. It's going to tell you the severity. Did I just break something? I guess I did. It's going to tell you the severity of each of those CVs. You can click the link here to go to the specific web page that describes that CV. And then the 2 columns at the end here, this is something that Tanzu provides that, like David was saying, none of the scanning tools are going to be able to provide, because this is triage that we do in context. So maybe there's a CVE, and in the wild it is classified as a 9.8, but we know that in the way that it is developed, because of a bunch of stuff around it, the whole context, this is not a 9.8 here. Here it is less severe. Why? Because of some mitigating factors. So for example, by default, we show vulnerabilities that are affected or in triage, because those are potentially dangerous. But you can also see vulnerabilities that we determine are not affected. So for example, all of these ones here, code not reachable. So you don't have to worry about that. You should patch it, just for the sake of not having that thing popping up in your scanner. But you are not at danger. You're not at risk, because our engineers have triaged this vulnerability and determined that within the context of our platform, this is code not reachable. It's not going to affect whatever you're doing. Other CV requires environment. And if we open something different, there's like a bazillion different status codes. We're taking this from the Cyclone DX standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of like will not fix is usually a compatibility issue. So if we patch this, everything breaks, so we can't patch it. There's also cannot fix, which is usually when there's no upstream fix available for open source components. And if I remove false positive here, I just wanted to show the rest of the CycloneDX status codes, but okay, maybe we'll look at that later. But yeah,
I shared the link so that Nick can share it with the stream of the different analysis, and
oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's worth pointing out. There's a couple of things like it says, like if you see if it, we've done the triage and we say it's not available for patch. We are working on having some of the wording cleared up of what that really means, and most of the time that means there is no upstream patch, because if they have triaged it and if they could patch it, they would. If they couldn't patch it, then it would be cannot fix. So the wording, we're working on making that in a future update a little bit clearer of what that really means to help just the understanding. And generally, when we talk to customers, these are the things you're looking for. You know, they one, want to know if we have a patch for it, but two, if we don't have a patch, what's Tanzu as their vendor's answer to, do I need to be worried about this? What's the risk to it? Doesn't mean they don't want to get it out of their list of scans, but they need to at least inform their security team. Are we at a risk? Is this something we need to patch? Do we need to have a mitigating factor around it? And that's really important to a lot of people.
And that's the big question. Like when I was a customer, I had customers while working with VMware, was something comes out, you're asked straight away, are we impacted? It's the first question. It's
and we use this internally a lot. This data is extremely helpful. We had the what was the recent one? The Valky, not Valky. The what was the database one? The Redis. It was a Redis thing recently. Or we had an Apache one. It was a few weeks before that one. We actually use the same database in the same backend of all this, and we're using APIs and tools on our side, so you could use APIs with this. And we just said, hey, grab all the S-bounds for this build. Let's scan through the Perl, the actual package URL of all the inventory that goes with it, and let's see if that version of Apache or Valky or whatever it might be in the future, is it in there? Where's it at? Because knowing you have it in something as complex as Tanzu Platform, or even more complex, imagine a customer app that has 100 or 1,000 microservices. Just having a vulnerability in your application is one thing, but knowing where it's at, that's the answer that nobody can really help answer without this necessary data.
Well, I think it'd be immensely powerful too, as again, past life, where I remember when big CVs would come out, it was always just like this scramble to everybody report in their status, and if you could just say, hey, here's this one nice screen or CSV to send to your security team, we're good, or this is our status.
You want to grab a CV and show how you can find that view?
So like just to finish this view here, like I said before, we show the triage status patch version. So in this case, there's a bunch of fix available. And like we were talking before about the CycloneDX statuses, again, a bunch of those messages here. Once you have, once you kind of finish looking at it, you can download this data, CSV, CycloneDX. I think we're changing this format in the next patch because it's actually an SPDX file, but that doesn't matter. And yeah, you can always search for CV numbers. So for example, if I'm worried, let me remove the filters here. If I'm worried, hey, is my application affected by this CV? I can check here. If I need to do a bigger search, are any of my build packs affected by this CV? I can look at here, or I can remove all filters and just say, is any of the components that Tanzu provides to me affected by the CV? I can do this search here and look it up as well. So yeah, that whole thing of, oh, a new SolarWinds just came out. Are we affected? It's an emergency. Everybody drop what you're doing and go check this out. For anything that is in scope for Tanzu components, the components that Tanzu delivers to our customers, you just come here, type in the CV, and now you know. That's it. That's your answer. Of course, and this is something I think I mentioned in the beginning, but just to make it clear, this view is meant to show components that Tanzu provides to our customers. So any customer-owned dependencies, components, applications, that is still a customer responsibility. We have no visibility over what our customers is doing, and I think customers appreciate the fact that they have that privacy. Having a on-prem systems is very high priority for customers. They don't want to share what they're doing with anybody, so we don't have that kind of visibility. What we do, however, is we generate SBOMs for all customer applications, which then they can use the API, etc., and do that verification. One thing before moving on here is for all the build packs, and let me go back here. For all the build packs you're gonna have, and what was it, David? The Ruby one had some interesting
Ruby
stuff.
has, yeah, Ruby tends to have a couple apps on it. So
Yeah. So for every for all build packs, we're gonna have this affected applications tab. So if we rewind 10 minutes back in this conversation, I was saying, okay, you're a platform engineer, you made some new versions of a build pack available. Now, how do you know which applications need to be restaged to pick up the new version? Here's the list. So you click a build pack. Like I said here, you're gonna have every component's gonna have its foundation and its version differentiated. So if you know that this version of a build pack has a vulnerability, you made the latest version of this build pack available, which applications need to be restaged. In this foundation, these are the ones. And
it
there's
shows you both the system level ones as well as the ones your app teams have pushed out there. So they're in a future version we'll better clarify that list, but this gives you visibility to the apps that we as Tanzu bring, you get with the platform, as well as the apps you've pushed to the platform.
That is that's pretty incredible. I would say. I'd like to say.
Yeah, so there's some refining we still want to do, but yeah, I mean, the information is right here. No more hunting for is that guy using this version, whatever. No, we just know, and yeah, we made it available here. Sorry, Nick, I think I cut you off.
No, I think that's I mean this feature alone is enough for, if you haven't checked out Hub yet, you should. I would be like, I'm already like, I wish I had this. Like, this would have saved me so much time. Just this whole CVE game, like over the past, many years.
As V mentioned, all of this there's an API for all of this. So you could easily see a security team that has their scan, then you just give them API and they can just correlate the data and they can get vendor answers to the vulnerabilities in the platform they're providing Tanzu.
Yeah, so I like to joke that the GUI is great, but it's really just a demo for the API, and the API is where a lot of, especially bigger customers with more complex workflows, they like whatever we put in the GUI, they want something different, more complex, more customized, etc. So really, everything you're seeing here is available via API. Every bit of information that you can see here, you can access via API, and that's where a lot of extremely advanced workflows are going to come in. And something we're working on for the next patches is not so much to patch the product, but we want to use the patches as like milestones for documentation, because we really want to document how to use the API for such and such and such extremely advanced workflows. So for example, one that we have in mind is, there's always that thing of like, oh, my super advanced security scanner has detected 20,000 vulnerabilities across a bunch of different VMs, etc. And then you look at that list and you're like, okay, for each CV here, is this a stem cell I need to patch, a build pack? I don't even know where the vulnerability is coming from. So how do I find that out? And we already saw in this demo that we have the separation. Okay, all these CVs come from a build pack. And if you change the filter, all these CVs come from a stem cell, and then we have tiles and so on. So you know where to patch. Now, let's say you have 20,000 vulnerabilities. Sure, you could type the CV numbers here and see, oh, remember that CV? Where is it? Okay, I messed up my filters. Hold on. Oh, this CV, where it's coming from? Oh, now you know it's a build pack. But if you have 20,000 CVs to look up, that's going to be a lot of work. So we want to provide sample workflows for using the API to do this automation, like just read my spreadsheet with 20,000 items and tell me what exactly do I need to fix for each one of them. So that's one of the advanced use cases that we want the API to enable.
And that'll all get to the documentation. We're going to do a series of videos to help explain and understand the use cases around this, but the documentation is actually a fairly good starting point. And we'll share that at some point here, but we'll be adding that there. In fact, we just have some stuff coming out because we're sure customers out there or people are watching going, hey, we're totally air gap. We don't connect to anybody. I mean, this can't work for me because I can't have data transfer. This will be useless for me. I'm not sure Tanzu, we would have thought about that solution or not, but we actually did. I don't think it's in the docs yet, but it's coming out, I think, in the next week or so. And we have actually scripting. So you can actually do all this offline. If you're able to do Tanzu Platform currently, if you're a Tanzu customer and you have air-gapped environments, there's a mechanism and workflow for downloading the updates you have Oh, that's a great list there. That shows all the current components. In fact, if you go back to that list view, one thing that's really nice to point out here is if you have if you have Tanzu tiles and management tiles, we have the data tiles in there. We have our various cloud service brokers. We have the things that you would use in the platform. If there's a tile for it, we tend to have the data for it. In fact, we have the data in the back end for all of our Tanzu products. And so right now we're just exposing those that are tile based or things that are in Tanzu Platform. But I fully expect as Hub starts building out to data and other products and that integration comes together, we already have the data in the back end for vulnerabilities. We'll be ready to add that when the interfaces are there to share with customers. But if you are a customer and you have data products and you have vulnerability questions, reach out to the account team. We have that data available and we can do it asynchronously on that side.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here we have the CycloneDX statuses that I wanted to mention earlier as well. So not affected because code is not present, not reachable, requires a config dependency environment, protected by compiler, runtime parameters, etc. So yeah, that is all here.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I wanna. This is incredible because, like, again, just seeing if I could just have a system where I can just put a CVE number in and tell me that it's either if it's not yet patched but not affected, I could just send that back to my security team and get them off my back immediately. I'm still like 20 minutes behind on.
Or even better,
processing.
yet, Nick. Let's get your security team access to their dashboards, automatically integrate this, and they don't even have to ask anybody. It just shows it.
Yeah. They're like, just hand off. They're like, hey, you have the security tool. Go, it's secure. Oh, very nice.
Well,
All
you
right.
still have to do work. In fact, if you look on the dashboard, there's that one column on the far right side. One thing we know is a lot of our customers, their compliance programs are based upon when did the vendor release the patch. So we did include that data of when we actually released that version so that you can tell where you are in the life cycle. So if you're getting to like 100 days since the patch has been available and you've not upgraded, you're probably not meeting your internal policies. So we tried to help teams at least have visibility to how old that build pack is or the stem cell or whatever they're upgrading.
Well, that might even be beneficial too for justifying the change windows or things if you needed. Be like, hey, we haven't patched in however many days. Like, you should let us patch, right? So that's cool too.
Now on the topic of patching, and I kind of forgot about this, but it's pretty interesting as well. So we have some remediation capabilities here that I guess we're so excited by identifying CVs and exporting the CycloneDX and all the details, etc., that we forgot, okay, but how do you fix it? And this is interesting because at B-Sides, the conference we were talking about earlier, there was a lot of focus on like, oh yeah, everybody tells you what's vulnerable, tell me how to fix it. So, okay, we're doing that. Let me tell you how. If we go back here to the vulnerabilities view, let me clear my filters, and there's this button here, view.
And I think I'm not sure if the logo, for other people, is on the top. So if you can't see it because the way the screen is displayed, it's in the upper right corner.
Yeah, so you see the Cloud Foundry logo there? There's a blue button just below it. There you go. Now you can see it.
I don't know if I can remove it live. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We got it. So we have a window here, and in this window you can select a foundation group if you'd like, and then an individual foundation. And what this is going to tell you, sorry, this is a test environment. Let me find one with more stuff in it.
Yep. One of the problems with test environments, we tend to be testing the latest releases. So you don't tend to have things in them that have upgrades available because we're testing the latest.
Yeah. So here, this is going to show me remediations available in this foundation across all the components that we know are present in it. So for example, in the case of this foundation, there's going to be 4 components with remediations available. We know that is going to fix 10% of the CVs available there. And again, there's the issue that David just mentioned. This is a test environment with basically everything on latest. So there's not that much to fix. But let's say you haven't upgraded in a year, then this number would be a lot bigger. And then the number of components, there's 19 components in that foundation, 4 of which have fixes available. So that's 21% of the components. So what you do here is you're going to launch Upgrade Planner. And sorry, I'm going to need to change my sharing here. Can you see Upgrade Planner? Yes. Okay, so this is Upgrade Planner. Upgrade Planner is a tool that checks compatibility metadata between a bazillion components that we ship to you, and basically it proposes upgrade paths so that things are not going to break. So here it's going to pre-fill all the components that you could see in the previous page. It's going to pre-fill the current version, the target version, which is the one that we know is the latest. So you kind of have this all pre-filled for you based on whatever components are being used in that foundation. Then you can come here, generate plan. It's going to do some thinking, and then it's going to tell you how to. Yes, so if you're using a test environment, it's going to break. But hopefully, if you're in an environment where components are already GA, then this is going to work better, and this is going to provide an upgrade path.
Just delete the binary build pack from the list there.
Okay.
It might not work with any build packs. We'll have to see.
Yeah, let's see, because this is pre-GA stuff, so yeah, it might not work for this demo. But you get the idea. So
yeah,
the point is we show all the lists of CVs, and hold up. We show the list of CVs in this view. You can look at them, export them, share them with your team, filter, whatever you'd like, use the API, integrate with a different workflow, et cetera. Once it's time to fix things, you can open up here, pull up Upgrade Planner and see, okay, now that I'm ready to fix stuff, how do I do it? Which order do I upgrade components in? Is anything going to break with something else? Upgrade Planner often highlights any breaking changes or anything that might create problems. So basically, you kind of know not only all the stuff that is there, but how you're going to fix it and move forward.
And a lot of customers are using it as part. Oh, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, no, like I'm just going, and then it's calling upon some of the best and long and well proven background of Tanzu Platform. Just the backing of Bosch of just it just relies on that, and it does it, and it does it so well. So like, yeah, this is just making better, even better. That's a better way of saying that. But like, yeah, no, this is kind of a holy grail for a platform engineer, really, isn't it? Having all this in one place.
The two things that you mentioned, one is, actually you mentioned it too, Keith, is the idea that people are going to have vulnerabilities. There are no black boxes. We have to, you can't assume people are going to scan. They're going to scan. They're going to have vulnerability data. We want to level set what the reality of that data is from our point of view. It's our product. We have a good visibility into it. Now, it doesn't mean that it's correct. We definitely still have interesting discussions on some of the decisions we've made in our triage, and we're definitely open to the conversations. But then separately, as we just showed in the remediation, the biggest problem with the vulnerability world is you have spreadsheets saying here's problems, but how do you turn that into how do I fix it? And this is just the platform side. There's a whole story coming together on the app side too. Like we've just redeployed 15 build packs. So what does that mean for the 1,000 apps that depend upon them? How do you communicate that? How do you talk about this? And having the ability to say to development teams, hey, your 12 apps, we have an upgrade in a build pack that's going to reduce these critical vulnerabilities. You have to, by policy, upgrade. We want to make this easier for you. So the whole process of restaging the apps is just as easy as that was. And hopefully we'll make that easier over time, because that's why you choose a platform like this, is that consistent, easy way to just say, take my code, run it. We don't care how, right? But we also want to have the same mindset for upgrades. I don't care how the actual mechanism works, as long as it does what it says it's going to do, and it tries to do zero downtime upgrades. It all depends on how you've built your apps, how you've actually configured it and the services around it. But we want to make sure that you are able to consume upgrades as fast as possible, because things come at us fast. When Log4j came, we had 3 upgrades in a week. And you can only upgrade as fast as your disks can spin. So this is just one of those things that, having the visibility of where the risks are help you determine where to do the upgrades first.
Yeah. Quick note on where we're planning to take this going forward. Something we want to do is enable notifications. So if, sorry, where was that thing? If you have a bunch of applications, okay, I can find it now. But if you have a bunch of applications using a build pack that has vulnerabilities, we want to have notifications to those developers. So that's one thing we're planning to do. We want to have an emergency button here, which is basically if Log4j is out and you need to patch it today, and you can't find the developer team or whatever to bump a build pack or something like that. We want to enable platform engineers to basically force a build pack bump with certain restrictions and checks and so on. That's another thing we're planning to do. We want to add new component types. So here we have build packs themselves, foundation components and tiles. We want to add, we want stacks to be separated here. Services, for example, our data tiles and so on, we want them to have a separate category. We might have Spring libraries also as a separate component type, and so on. David, can you remember other ones that we're planning to do?
There's actually an interesting one because this is all in the Cloud Foundry space of all this, but we're also, because we have Bitnami, looking at how can we bring that Bitnami catalog and the data they have for their tests and their vulnerability stuff into this point of view. So if you have services built with a platform that are based upon Bitnami components, we can provide the same sort of interaction around it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be pretty cool, I would say. I would like to say as well.
So yeah, it's pretty fertile ground here. There's a whole lot of stuff we want to do.
Also,
it's gonna.
I'll throw out the audience here. If you are using Cloud Foundry and you're doing apps and it's critical for your business, this is just a starting point. This is taking the step of the conversation around vulnerabilities and remediation. But I think there are a lot other use cases that folks on the audience are probably going to run into. Definitely let us know how would you use this data? What else could you have? What else would be useful for you? How are you using the Cloud Foundry product in your business? Is it something that has interactions? We have anyone who uses our products knows we have integrations with a lot of security teams. So we have Qualys, we have CrowdStrike, we have Palo Alto, we have Aqua, we have Contrast Security, we have a whole bunch of security partnerships. We're looking at actually how can we get their scans if they have say the Qualys tile. How can we Qualys or CrowdStrike to actually interface with this data to your local hub? So how does that work if we have these security partnerships expanding that data so they don't have to do that full circle loop? They can just have the data in the environment if it's all running on-prem. So there's some really interesting conversations there, and I would throw out to anybody who watches this episode, reach out, ping us, let us know what you need to make this be successful in your environment. Our goal isn't to gatekeep this information. We want to make sure that you have the data you have so you can make informed business decisions and actually keep your business moving forward fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nick, I know we were going to do it on, it was an upcoming episode, and we've mentioned it before, though. If people just even want to give this a trial, just see what it is, like you see, we're not lying here. This thing actually does this. Is like we have an appliance. So with this recent release, there's an appliance where you can try it out, spin it up, give it a quick spin, and see. Oh yeah, I'm beginning to see the value here. So something then you can take on to the next step. Maybe let's put this in our environment. But the quick and easy way is there's an appliance. Spin it up, give it a go, see if you like it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Make it easy. Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're playing with the appliance, Nick. I don't have enough memory in my home lab. I need more machines.
Yeah.
But I've been using Cloud Foundry for years. I love the idea of the appliance. The idea you can just take an OVA or just say go run it, and it just come back a couple hours later and it's a fully running environment. It's just amazing. And the idea you can just tie in the AI stuff into it. I think that's gonna be an interesting story on where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about vulnerabilities, there are so much data, especially if you're looking at large environments. How can we use AI to actually make that easier? I can imagine you going to Intelligent Insights or Intelligent Assist or whatever we're calling it and say, hey, what is the do I have X, Y, and Z vulnerability? Where's it at? What's the remediation story? And have it kind of build that. So I hope we have we can come back in next year's episodes and start going into how we're doing that. But there's also a humongous amount of other data in the platform. There's a lot of log data. We have antivirus, we have file integrity monitoring. There's a lot of other pieces of the puzzle in the security world that I think that this can extend a lot more useful insights to help customers around that.
Oh, I forgot about like the file integrity stuff as well. So yeah, that's I'm very excited to see where it goes. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting story of the whole homogeneity. I can't even say the word homogeneity around the compliance story as well. I think there's
Yeah.
you know, security is not compliance, compliance is not security, but they are the opposite sides or the B side of the coin. And sorry, that's the extent of my joking material.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get V fired up here, and we'll turn this to a comedy show. Yeah. 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 I mean, I get. Yeah. From the compliance perspective, I could see a lot of things potentially down the road, or even starting to use like the concept of foundation groups, and even what we have out of the box today to help some of that tracking out as well. So, uh, interested to see where this goes for sure. I think it's a lot of incredible work already. So hats off to everyone involved.
Oh, the team did
Really like what we've seen.
amazing job. It is everything I hoped it would be a year ago when we were like really pushing to make this happen. And we're just getting started. I think this is
Mhm.
if everyone in the security world could see what this is doing, I think I think the potential for here, Tanzu is actually a leader in this space. No, I don't, you know, if you go to Microsoft, or I don't want to call it any vendors, I guess I shouldn't call vendors out, but you know, if you go to any other vendor in the world, do they tell you their triage status? Do they tell you what the risks are of running that? Or do you have to depend on some third party scanner to tell you what open source says about it? I'm hoping that we can change the world, and Tanzu is definitely a leader that no one else is doing this at all, anywhere near the space.
Yeah, you caught us off guard. You know, like I think we mentioned in the previous Cloud Foundry Weekly there was the internal show and tell. Like we saw the bullet points and some sneak peeks of what you were bringing us, but then when we saw the show and tell a few weeks ago, it was like, whoa, this is a lot more than we were like. So yeah, it was quite surprising how much you delivered in just that release.
Yeah, the engineers did an awesome job. I can't say enough kind words about the late days that they put together getting this out the door. The amount of I've not really been directly involved in a lot of the actual product release directly, and that it was interesting to see the amount of work that goes into things to get out the door. You know, it's one thing to be part of a vulnerability process where you're making sure you get open vulnerabilities addressed and triaged and tracked and make sure you're reporting, but then actually tie that into a product release and tie that into, you know, there were people concerned. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, we're sharing this data with customers. But I think the level of trust that we're going to earn with this is you can't calculate that in any sort of economic form. The idea that we we want the trust established. We want to be that trusted platform, and this is the best way of having that is to just say, let's make your job easier. Let's reduce that burden.
Yeah, I think, David, this also brings up a question that I don't know, I find a bit upsetting in the like security industry, which is what we're trying to do here is full transparency of our customers. We're not hiding anything. Like what we know, what we're aware of, what our engineers, you know, to the best of their abilities, whatever our engineers have found out about these vulnerabilities, we share that 100% unfiltered. And so much of the security industry, when you remove the marketing shininess and all of the sales copy and everything, so much of the security world is basically we are going to get these problems out of your face. That's what it boils down to. There's a lot of let's pretend a bunch of security stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah,
And
it's
again, I
not
don't
been
want to
patched in
call
5 years. Let's make it not shown because it's not been patched and it won't be patched.
Yeah, I don't want to call out specific vendors, but there's a lot of like, oh, this doesn't have a patch, so let's not show it to you. Or you know, the vendor who provides this package had decided they will not patch this thing, so let's just hide this and tell you that there are no vulnerabilities here. We're not fans of that because that if the less information you have, the less power and agency you have over whatever is going on, and we want the opposite. We want full visibility, full transparency. Anything that's going on, customers should see. And this brings up the discussion of like, oh, but then it's overwhelming, it's too much. Yeah, and that's why we make it so that you can filter and look at your remediations and separate by your stack layer, what has patches, what doesn't. So you patch what is patchable, and the rest, okay, there's nothing you can do, but it's still there. You can still see it. We're not hiding anything. And I think this is I feel like the security industry went slightly down a wrong path in this, like, let's not show customers a bunch of stuff so that it's not overwhelming or whatever. But I would prefer, you know what? We show you what's actionable in one view, and what's not actionable, okay, it's not actionable, but it's still there. We're not hiding anything.
Although in the case of full transparency, we will say in this initial release, we are only showing the critical and highs. We do have the data for mediums and lows. It's just we want to make sure that people are used to a tool where we actually have the consumption happening the same way it needs to happen to get used to the tool. The criticals and highs typically are what drive a lot of the security conversations. We have the data on the mediums and lows and the unclassified ones that NVD hasn't actually classified yet. But we'll get those activated when customers are actually consuming and using this and they have a workflow around it. And that's mainly, if you look at the mediums and lows, it's just a lot more from they're unpatched. And that's just the nature of the world in the upstream world where it's not high priority. It's not high, so they don't patch it as regularly. Or there's a lot of patches that get consumed. We want to make sure it's easy
to be fair, though, that is more a matter of this is the first version of this tool, and if we put the entire universe in it in the first iteration, everything explodes. But it's not about hiding; it's about let's build the thing one block at a time.
And we do have I'm just saying we do have the data. Want to be totally transparent that in this first version we're not giving you everything to not overwhelm you. Get used to the tool, get used to the data. Let's get used to how we have the communication going, and we'll have all that. The mediums and lows, they're there. We'll just open it up when customers are actually used to using the tool. And if you need that data for other stuff, if you're a customer watching the show right now, reach out to your account team. We can talk about how we can get some of that stuff offline for you until we have it actually visible and accessible in the hub interface. So the data is still there.
Yeah, I love how as well, just because I was thinking back to customer days, this is going to save so much ticket generation. Like when we were going, are we done? Oh, I scanned your product with my scanner here. Now there's all these things, and the ticket generation was madness. Yeah, so the transparency, the point you brought up via the transparency, that's going to save so much of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, especially with the API access, like like I think everybody in this call and has done this, and none of us want to do it again, which is when you get a 20,000 line spreadsheet from a customer that was spit out by a scanner that has zero detail on each finding, and then the customer asks, hey, what about this? And there you go, spending a week trying to track down every single CV there. So hopefully that is a headache we can eliminate for good once we have full maturity in our tool set.
Vulnerabilities for good. Imagine that.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, I know we're kind of coming up on top of our broadcast hour here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time here. I know we're kind of past our normally scheduled time for this morning. So do you all have anything else you wanted to add or any other features that we didn't cover so far?
I do want to point out there on the homepage itself, when you first log into Hub, we do give you summary. So the summary side for the foundational side and the summary side for applications. And this will expand and get better. But when you do log in, you'll have visibility of that high level view, and then you can dig into the vulnerability insights from there as well.
I think we got B screen back here.
Maybe.
Wow.
Dave, if I'm right or wrong, you can build custom dashboard as well, can't you, with this?
You can, yes. Yeah, you can build a custom dashboard and you can put the pieces the way you want them to be, yeah.
Sorry, I just love sharing my screen when looking at a test environment, because then it's like things are always slightly broken. These two cards here in the middle. So one basically only shows platform vulnerabilities. So that's foundation management, tiles and stem cells, and then application vulnerabilities. This is only build packs. And again, in the future, it's going to have more stuff. The Spring stuff is going to be here, etc. So this is a more persona differentiated summary.
And as you can see, the numbers can get big really quick when you talk about vulnerability, especially talking about large, lots of apps, lots of foundations. So we're looking at different ways of consuming this. Do you want to have unique CVEs? Do you want to have CVE by component? Do you want, so we're looking at different ways of making this easier to consume, because even though we've tried to make this, as easy as possible to digest this data, I can imagine it's still going to be a lot of data. It's still going to be a lot of information, and slicing and dicing that and making that easier to use based on what you're trying to do for your day is one of our goals here.
Yeah, something that is a bit of a problem is, there's let's say 20 build packs, and there's 10 versions of each, and each has, let's say 50 vulnerabilities that are like not really dangerous, but they're just sitting there and you can't patch for whatever reason. And then you have all of those replicated across 50 foundations. Suddenly the number of CVs, like just the raw number of CVs present, it's very, very big, just because of this multiplicative effect, even if the risk is insignificant, but just the number is very big. And when you when you show this to a platform engineer, like, hey, your environment is actually affected by these extremely large number of vulnerabilities, people don't like that. So we were talking about the medium severity CVs earlier, and this is one thing that we're trying to be tactful about. We don't want to like tell customers, hey, yeah, there's no risk here, you're fine, but here's a huge number of CVs that is present. Yeah, that is that's a bit challenging.
That does go back to another thing that's actually coming up. In fact, I think I saw a conversation out of the DoD recently. The idea of having 0 CVEs in your environment, it's just not practical. You're going to have CVEs. In fact, if you have 10 of the same thing, you're gonna have 10 times of that CVE around it. Now, at least we have the consistency of Bosch and VMs and stem cells, and it's easy to upgrade those. You're not going to have like 7 different versions of stem cells you have to support for 7 different foundations. They're all going to take the same product. They're all going to take the same version. So we can at least address those easier. But nothing will ever have 0 CVEs, and we're just trying to figure out how do you take the reality of that and not have people's heads explode when they go, oh my God, we've got 10,000 CVEs. Of course you do. You know how many CVEs you have in your Windows desktop?
I don't want to know.
I mean, if Bill Gates had a penny for every Windows vulnerability, he'd be a billionaire, I guess.
After on a side note, after building 2 new PCs and dealing with Windows 11 issues, I'm like, I don't know. I'm really the fact that you have to have it connected to the internet to install the operating system just really grinds my gears. But
there are ways around that. Actually, I was listening to a podcast this last weekend around some of the tools for doing that.
Oh yeah, I'll have to dig into that, because I can imagine someone tried to like set things up at scale for people. There's got to be some way. But anyway, so you got me triggered on Windows PCs. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, Nick, you want to hear something cool about all this stuff we just showed you? It all works air gapped.
It all works air gapped. Yeah.
Very cool.
No internet required.
Yeah, I think that's great for all of our customers. So, and then I assume then we'll have a way to then programmatically update that, right? We're talking with some type of script. So yeah, very cool. That's I think that's a good feature to have, because I think a lot of times people will build things, maybe outside of Tanzu land, and not thinking about air gap support is always it's kind of like step one, right?
in this world, a lot of people just assume everything's connected to the internet, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, full unfettered internet access. Like
even your dishwasher.
Yeah, yeah. Haven't worked with the enterprise that much then, if you're assuming that. So yeah, very cool. All right. Well, I'm still trying to digest what all we covered in this show, so I'll probably have to rewatch it a few times myself. But yeah, this is another installment of all the great many features, and this is just one piece of what's in 10.3. The security story. We talked about some of the AI stuff last show. There are other things to talk about too, Keith. So we got a lot of work to do here ahead of us to try to digest everything here. So yeah, well, and I think too, our scheduling for the rest of the year will probably be maybe more frequent, maybe a little bit more all over the place, just because we have a lot to go through. And so keep an eye out, and we'll try to get the links out ahead of time, so we know if we have schedule changes, or we might not be at our normal time, so to speak. We'll try to keep people up to date on that as well. And I guess last but not least, as I will be at KubeCon tomorrow, assuming my plane gets approval to fly and not canceled or whatever. We'll be at the Cloud Foundry booth, hanging out with Chris and everybody from the CFF. So if you're going to be at KubeCon, find me. We'll have some stickers, and we can talk about Cloud Foundry at KubeCon. So hey, good deal. Any other closing thoughts for our audience guests?
SQL walks into a bar. It's rowdy and crowded. All the tables are full. SQL locks eyes with the bartender, puts one hand on each table, and goes, "Can I join them?"
Nice. we got a B joke at the end here. So thank you. That's I don't know how to come back from that. I can't. I got nothing else.
There is no coming back.
Yeah. All right. With that, I guess further ado, we should probably sign off here so we can all go about our day. But thank you all for being on the show. This is a great, very informative episode. And if you're still watching and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, you should like and subscribe. But yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll sign off here with our famous CF BY. So 3, 2, 1, CF BY.
Bye.